Brampton is a Canadian city in southern Ontario. It is a suburban city in the Greater Toronto Area and the seat of Peel Region. The city has a population of 523,911 as of the Canada 2011 census, and is Canada's 9th most populous municipality. Brampton was incorporated as a village in 1853, taking its name from the market town of Brampton, in Cumbria, England. The city was once known as the Flower Town of Canada, a title based on its large greenhouse industry. Today, Brampton's major economic sectors include advanced manufacturing, retail administration and logistics, information and communication technologies, food and beverage, life sciences and business services. History. Prior to the 1800s, all real business in Shinguacousy Township took place at Martin Salisbury's Tavern. 1 mile distant at the corner of Main and Queen's Streets, now the recognized center of Brampton, William Buffy's Tavern was the only significant building. At the time, the area was referred to as Buffy's Corners. By 1834, John Elliot laid out the area in lots for sale, calling it Brampton, which was soon adopted by others. In 1853, a small agricultural fair was set up by the newly initiated County Agricultural Society of the County of Peel, and was held at the corner of Main and Queen Streets. Grains, produce, roots, and dairy products were up for sale. Horses and cattle, along with other lesser livestock, were also sold at market. This agricultural fair eventually became the modern Brampton Fall Fair. In that same year Brampton was incorporated as a village. By 1869, Brampton, with a population of 1,800, was in the county town of Peel in the township of Shinguacousy. It was a station of the Grand Trunk Railway. The county buildings were erected c. 1869 of freestone and white brick. A federal grant allowed the village to found its first public library in 1887, which included 360 volumes from the Mechanics' Institute. In 1907, the library received a grant from the Carnegie Foundation, set up by United States steel magnate and philanthropist Andrew Carnegie, to build a new, expanded library. It serves several purposes, featuring the Brampton Library. The Carnegie Libraries were built on the basis of communities coming up with matching funds and guaranteeing maintenance. A group of regional farmers in Brampton had trouble getting insurance from city-based companies. After several meetings in Clerville Hall, they decided to found the County of Peel Farmers Mutual Fire Insurance Company. In 1955, when the company moved to its third and current location, 103 Queen Street West, it took the new name of Peel Mutual Insurance Company. It reigns as the longest-running company in modern Brampton. Harmsworth Decorating Centre was established in 1890, as Harmsworth and Son, operated out of the family's house on Queen Street West. The current location was purchased on September 1, 1904, after a fire destroyed their original store. Purchased for $1,400, the 24 Main Street South location is the longest operating retail business in what is now Brampton. Edward Dale, an immigrant from Dorking, England, established a flower nursery in Brampton shortly after his arrival in 1863. Dale's nursery became the town's largest and most prominent employer, developed a flower grading system, and established a global export market for its products. The company chimney was a town landmark, until Brampton Town Council allowed it to be torn down in 1977. At its height, the company had 140 greenhouses, and was the largest cut flower business in North America, producing 20 million blooms and introducing numerous rose and orchid varietals and species to the market. It also spurred the development of other nurseries in the town. 48 hothouse flower nurseries once did business in the town. Midway through the 20th century, the two townships of Shinguacousy and Toronto Gore were incorporated into Brampton. The small pine added to the center of the shield on the Brampton city flag represents Shinguacousy, honoring the Chippewa chief Shinwakos, the small pine. After this merger, outlying communities such as Bramalea, Heart Lake and Professors Lake, Snowgrove, Tullamore, and Mayfield, were developed. In 1963, the town established the Flower Festival of Brampton, based on the Rose Festival of Portland, Oregon in the United States. It began to market itself as the Flower Town of Canada. In a revival of this theme, on June 24, 2002, the City Council established the Flower City Strategy, to promote a connection to its flower-growing heritage. The intention was to inspire design projects and community landscaping to beautify the city, adopt a sustainable environmental approach, and to protect its natural and cultural heritage. The Rose Theatre was named in keeping with this vision and is to serve as a cultural institution in the city. In addition, the city participates in the National Communities in Bloom competition as part of that strategy. The old shoe factory, located on 57 Mill Street North, once housed the Howetson Shoe Company. It was listed as a historical property under the Ontario Heritage Act in 2008. Today it is occupied by various small businesses. The lobby and hallways retain details from 1907. Walls are decorated with pictures and artifacts of local Brampton history and old shoemaking equipment. A self-guided historical walking tour of downtown Brampton called a OEA Walkthrough to Euro is available at Brampton City Hall and online free of cost. Development of Bramalea Developed as an innovative new town, Bramalea was constructed approximately 40 kilometers northwest of Toronto. Located in the former Shinguakasi Township, it was Canada's first satellite community developed by one of the country's largest real estate developers, Bramalea Limited. The name Bramalea was created by the farmer William Sheard, who combined Bram from Brampton, Mal from Moulton, and Lea, an Old English word meaning meadow or grassland. He sold the land to Brampton Leasing and built one of Bramalea's first houses on Dixie Road. The community was developed according to its detailed master plan, which included provisions for a parkland trail system and a downtown to include essential services and a shopping center. The downtown centerpiece was the Civic Center, built in 1972 to include the City Hall and Library. Directly across Team Canada Drive, a shopping center named Bramalea City Center was built. These developments were connected by a long underground tunnel, planned to provide protection from winter weather. But, the tunnel has long since been closed due to safety issues. Urbanists have also found that pedestrians at street level make for much livelier and safer streets. Other features included a police station, fire hall, bus terminal, and a collection of seniors' retirement homes. Each phase of the new city was marked with progressing first letters of street names. Development started with the A section, with street names such as Argyle, Avondale, and Deloma. Developers then created a B section, C section, and so forth. Children on the boundaries of these divisions would regularly compete in street hockey games, pitting, for example, the D section versus the E section. The community was initially developed with a large number of recreational facilities, including tennis courts, playgrounds, hockey lacrosse rinks and swimming pools. An extensive parkland trail and sidewalk system connects the entire community. Region of Peel In 1974, the Ontario provincial government decided to update Peel County's structure. It amalgamated a series of villages into the city of Mississauga. In addition, it created the new city of Brampton from the greater portion of the townships of Shinguakasi and Toronto Gore, including Bramalea and the other communities such as Clairville, Ebenezer, Victoria, Springbrook, Churchville, Coleraine, and Hightonville. While only Hightonville and Churchville still exist as identifiable communities, other names like Clairville are re-emerging as names of new developments. The province converted Peel County into the regional municipality of Peel. Brampton retained its role as the administrative centre of Peel Region, which it already had as county seat. The Regional Council Chamber, the Peel Regional Police Force, the Public Health Department, and the region's only major museum, the Peel Art Gallery, Museum and Archives, are all located in Brampton. This change had its critics among those with a strong sense of local identities. Bramptonians feared urban sprawl would dissolve their town's personality. Bramalea residents took pride in the built-from-scratch and organized structure that had come with their new city and did not want to give it up. others in Bramalea accept they are part of Brampton, and they make up the Tri-City area, Brampton, Heart Lake, Bramalea. In 1972, Bramalea had built its civic center. 2 years later, when Brampton and Bramalea merged, the new city's council chambers and other facilities were installed in the Bramalea building. They were moved from Brampton's modest downtown locale. The library systems of Brampton and Bramalea were joined, resulting in a system of 4 locations. Some have questioned the future of Peel Region as encompassing all of Brampton, Mississauga, and Caledon. The Mississauga Council, led by Mayor Hazel McAleon, voted to become a single-tier municipality and asked the provincial government to be separated from Peel Region. They argued the city has outgrown the need for a regional layer of government, and that Mississauga is being held back by supporting Brampton and Caledon with its municipal taxes. Development as a city. The early 1980s brought new residential development, as Brampton released large tracts of land to developers. In 1995 the large new suburban community of Springdale was developed, contributing to what people consider urban sprawl. This area had its largest boom in 1999, when development started to appear as far north as the city's border with Caledon. The region has designated this border as the line of demarcation for urban development until 2021. Neighboring communities not part of Peel Region have also been dramatically affected by the city's sudden spurt. The end of Brampton and start of Georgetown, for example, has no identifiable boundary. In the early 1980s, Cineplex Odeon closed the Capitol Theatre in Brampton. The city bought the facility in 1981 under the leadership of Councillor Diane Sutter. It adapted the former vaudeville venue and movie house as a performing arts theatre, to be used also as a live music venue. It was renamed the Heritage Theatre. Renovations and maintenance were expensive. In 1983, Toronto consultant Woods Gordon reported to the city that, rather than continue pouring money into the heritage, they should construct a new 750-seat facility with up-to-date features. This recommendation was adopted, and the city designated the 2005/06 as the Heritage Theatre's grand finale season. The city funded construction of the new Rose Theatre, which opened in September 2006. Caribram was founded in 1984, the result of volunteers from different ethnic communities wanting to organize a festival celebrating diversity and cross-cultural friendship. The name was loosely related to Toronto's Caravan Festival of Cultures. Caribram's first event featured Italian, Scots, Ukrainian, and West Indian pavilions. By 2003, the fair had 18 pavilions attracting 45,000 visitors. The national government of Canada had an anchor pavilion in the late 1980s and early 1990s, and for Caribram's 25th anniversary in 2009. Responding to a growing multicultural population, the Peel Board of Education introduced evening English as a second language classes at high schools. Originally taught by volunteers, the classes eventually were scheduled as daytime courses taught by paid instructors. In the 1980s, the Public and Catholic Board expanded its languages programs, offering night classes in 23 languages. These were introduced due to requests by parents, who wanted their children to learn their ancestral languages and heritage. Brampton has a very large South Asian population, which is expected to grow at a high rate. In the early 1990s, Mayor Ken Whillans gained approval and funding for construction of a new city hall in Brampton's downtown. The facility was designed by local architects and constructed by Inzola Construction. Williams did not get to see the opening of the new hall because of his death in August of that same year. With the return of city government to downtown Brampton, politicians and businesses allied to revitalize the core. Changes continue to reflect the growth of the city. In 1992 the city purchased the Brampton Fairgrounds, to be used for other development. The Agricultural Society relocated in 1997 outside the boundaries of the city to Heart Lake and Old School Roads. In 1997 the Health Services Restructuring Commission decided to amalgamate Georgetown and District Memorial Hospital, Etobicoke General Hospital, and Peel Memorial Hospital as the William Osler Health Centre. it became what is now the province's sixth-largest hospital corporation. Brampton's 2003 sesquicentennial celebrations boosted community spirit, reviving the tradition of a summer parade, and creating other initiatives. To commemorate the town's history, the city under Mayor Fennell reintroduced floral projects to the community. These have included more plantings around town, the revival in 2005 of the City Parade, and participation in the Canada Communities in Bloom project. Current events. In early 2006, the Brampton campus of the William Osler Health Centre was renamed Peel Memorial Hospital and became independent of the William Osler family of hospitals. On October 28, 2007, Brampton Civic Hospital opened its doors while Peel Memorial Hospital closed for renovations. Since then, the fate of Peel Memorial has been the subject of controversy. Local residents want the hospital to reopen as an acute care facility with an emergency department, arguing Brampton Civic Hospital's 479 beds are not sufficient to meet the needs of the fast-growing community. In September 2007, the new Rose Theatre opened its doors in downtown Brampton. By 2008, the facility had attracted over 137,000 patrons, surpassing its 5-year goal in its first season. As hoped, the theatre has been a catalyst for downtown revitalization. Since its opening, new businesses have opened, established businesses have renovated their storefronts, and several high-rise residential condominium projects are either under construction or in the planning phases. In December 2007, the Toronto Star published an article entitled, "Brampton Comes Alive," which documents the latest in the city's revitalization plans and progress. In February 2008, the Central West Local Health Integration Network recommended that Peel Memorial be redeveloped to house outpatient services. These would include mental health services, cancer screening, day surgery and non-urgent care. In May 2012, the Brampton City Council voted unanimously in favor of a secondary bid as a hosting city for the 2015 Pan Am Games being held in Toronto. The initial plan had the city of Brampton as one of the hosting venues for the Summer Games. But, following a venue plan change, it appeared that was not likely. Ian Troop, the CEO of the organization committee, said that changes needed to be made as the benefits of clustering are that you create economies of scale. The goal for our refined and improved venue plan is to reduce the operational complexities of the event, save costs, deliver an athlete-centered games that facilitates great performance and create a much richer spectator experience. Geography and climate. Brampton has a total land area of 265 square kilometers. The city of Brampton is bordered by Highway 50 to the east, Winston Churchill Boulevard to the west, Mayfield Road to the north and the Hydra Corridor to the south except at Finch Avenue. Demographics. Religion. Some 50.5% of Brampton's population claimed various Christian denominations. The largest was Catholicism, followed by various Protestant denominations, including Anglican, United Church, Lutheran, Baptist, and Reformed, while the remaining numbers of Christians consists mostly of the Eastern Orthodox Rite. Other religions with a notable presence include Sikhism, Hinduism, and Islam. Nearly 10% of the population does not identify with a particular religion. The Toronto, Ontario Temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is located in Brampton. Population growth. With a population of 523,911, Brampton is the third largest city in the Greater Toronto Area, and the ninth largest city in Canada. With the median age at 33.7, it is the youngest community in the GTA. Due to a number of converging factors in Toronto, including an exponential rise in the cost of real estate, and high property and corporate taxes, it is an increasingly expensive place to live. Brampton has attracted residents and businesses due to its proximity to the Pearson International Airport and road infrastructure, population growth, cost of land, and more favorable corporate tax structure. It is becoming a prime location for corporate head offices, factories, warehouses, etc., as well as the typical domestic goods and services required to provide for the population. Languages. The 2011 census found that English was spoken as mother tongue by 51.7% of the population. The next most common language was Punjabi, spoken by 17.5% of the population, followed by Urdu at 2.8%, and Portuguese and Gujarati at 2.1% each. Economy. Companies with headquarters in Brampton include Loblaw Companies Limited, among the largest employers. Others of the largest include Rogers Communications Incorporated, Chrysler Canada Brampton Assembly Plant, Maple Lodge Farms, Canadian Tire Corporation, and formerly Zellers, Coca-Cola Bottling Company Limited, Gamma Dynacare Medical Laboratories, and Alimal LP. Maple Lodge and Zellers also have their Canadian head offices in the city. The international companies of Bacardi, Brita, and Clorox have their Canadian national headquarters in the city. It is also the location of the Canadian Forces Army Reserve Unit the Lawrence Scots. Other major companies operating in Brampton include IKO Industries, Best Buy, Brafesco, Ford, Rogers Communications, Nortel, Para Paints, Nestle Copyright, Chrysler Canada Limited, Sofina Foods Incorporated, Hudson's Bay Company, Frito-Lay Canada, MDA Space Missions, and Parkinson Coach Line. An automobile manufacturing facility was opened by American Motors in 1960 as the Brampton Assembly Plant. In 1986, AMC developed a new, state-of-the-art operation at Bramalea. After AMC was acquired by Chrysler in 1987, AMC's Canadian division and its plants were absorbed. The older facility in Brampton closed in 1992. The newest factory was renamed Brampton Assembly. It is one of the city's largest employers, with over 4,200 workers when running at capacity. Education. Brampton's only public higher education institution is Sheridan College, which also has a campus in Oakville. Founded in 1967, the local campus focuses on business training. The Oakville branch is the second largest school of art and design in North America. Algoma University at Brampton offers some courses at Market Square Business Center, 24 Queen Street East. The closest universities to Brampton include York University and University of Toronto Mississauga. Two main school boards operate in Brampton, the Peel District School Board, which operates secular Anglophone public schools, and Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board, which operates Catholic Anglophone public schools. Under the Peel District School Board, the secondary schools at Bramalea, Brampton Centennial, Central Peel, Shinguacousy, Fletcher's Meadow, Harold M. Brothwaite, Hart Lake, Louise Arbor, Mayfield, North Park, Judith Naman, Sandalwood Heights, Turner Fenton, David Suzuki, and Castlebrook Secondary School, one of the newest. A total of 85 elementary and middle schools feed these high schools in the city. Under the Dufferin-Peel Catholic District School Board, the secondary schools are Cardinal Ledger, Holy Name of Mary, Notre Dame, St. Augustine, St. Edmund Campion, St. Roch, St. Marguerite Giouville, St. Thomas Aquinas, and Cardinal Ambrosic. A total of 44 Catholic elementary and middle schools feed these high schools in the city. The Conseil Scolaire Viamond operates secular francophone schools serving the area. The Conseil Scolaire de District Catholique Centre-Sud operates Catholic francophone schools serving the area. Culture and conservation. Several cultural entities in the city operate under the umbrella of the Brampton Arts Council. Located in the city is the Peel Art Gallery, Museum and Archives, which is run by the Region of Peel. The Rose Theatre, opened in September 2006. The city had expected the facility to generate $2.7 million in economic activity the first year, growing to $19.8 million by the fifth year. The Rose Theatre far surpassed projections, attracting more than 137,000 patrons in its inaugural year, which exceeded its five-year goal. The arrival of so many new patrons downtown has stimulated the development of numerous new businesses nearby. A new fountain stage was unveiled in June 2008 at the nearby Garden Square. Brampton has 6 library locations to serve its 500,000 residents. With a ratio of 1 library per more than 80,000 residents, It has the lowest library ratio among major Canadian cities. The City of Brampton's long-standing heritage conservation program was recognized with the 2011 Lieutenant Governor's Ontario Heritage Award for Community Leadership. In 2010 the city received an honorable mention under the same provincial awards program. Sites of interest Gage Park, Artway Gallery, Camp Naivalt, Shinguakasi Park Greenhouse and Gardens, Mount Shinguakasi, Clairville Conservation Area, Flower City Theatre Festival, Great War Flying Museum, Heart Lake Conservation Area, Brampton Historical Society, Historic Bovet House, Korea Veterans National Wall of Remembrance, Ontario Field of Honour, Peel Art Gallery, Museum and Archives Power Art Centre, Rose Theatre, South Fletcher's Sportsplex, Wild Water Kingdom. Major shopping areas include Bramalea City Centre, Shoppers World, and Big Box Centre Trinity Common Mall. The downtown area has some retail. The Centennial Mall and the Brampton Mall are also of note. Media Brampton was one of the first areas where Rogers Cable offered its service. The city started a community access channel in the 1970s, which still operates. While some programs on the channel are produced in its Brampton studios, most are based in its Mississauga location. The Brampton Guardian is the community's only newspaper. The city's first newspaper, the Daily Times, stopped circulation in the early 1980s. For a little over a year, the Brampton Bulletin attempted to challenge the Guardian, but it was dismantled after a series of editor changes. Brampton is the official city of license for two radio stations, CHOW and CFNY. Both stations address their programming toward the entire Greater Toronto Area rather than exclusively to Brampton. Sports and recreation Brampton is home to one professional sports franchise, the Brampton Beast of the ECHL, which plays at the Powerade Centre. From 2013 to 2015, the Powerade Centre was also the home of the Brampton A's in the National Basketball League of Canada. However, they relocated to Orangeville, Ontario to decrease costs of operations of switching the arena floor from ice hockey to basketball. The numerous sporting venues and activities includes the outdoor ice path for skating through Gage Park. Shinguakasi Park includes a ski lift, a curling club, and tennis center for multi-season activities. In the summer, amateur softball leagues abound. Crowds line the beaches at Professor's Lake for the annual outdoor shagging display. Every year since 1967, the Brampton Canadettes have hosted the Brampton Canadettes Easter Tournament in hockey. Women's and girls' hockey teams invade Brampton for 3.5 days of head-to-head competition. Teams of all ages and categories from across Canada and the United States compete in this annual tournament. Teams from England, Switzerland, Japan, Kazakhstan and Russia attend this international tournament. Thousands of players and spectators pass through the doors during the tournament. There is no limit on the number of teams in the division. The Intermediate AA and Midget AA divisions are highly scouted by local and United States colleges and universities seeking recruits for varsity teams. Teams from as far as Alaska and Calgary, Quebec and Carolina, Michigan and Minnesota, as well as virtually all hockey centers in Ontario, will compete in a minimum of 3 games each over the course of the tournament. Including championship finals, over 600 games are played in 3.5 days. Infrastructure Health and medicine Courts Grenville and William Davis Courthouse, Ontario Court of Justice, is located in Brampton at 7755 Hurontario Street. Transportation Public transit Local transit is provided by Brampton Transit, with connections to other systems such as Mississauga Transit, York Region Transit, GO Transit, and Toronto Transit Commission. Brampton also has a new bus rapid transit system, ZAR 1/4M, previously known as Accelride along Main Street/Hurontario, Steeles Avenue and Queens Streets, which would form the backbone to its bus network. ZAR 1/4M received funding from the provincial government in 2006 to begin implementation of this system. The cash fare is $3.75 for single adult transfer, which is valid for 2 hours. There is GO bus service to York University and subway stations at Yorkdale Mall and York Mills in Toronto. There are 3 GO train stations in Brampton, Bramalea, Brampton and Mount Pleasant. Rail both Canadian National Railways and the Orange River Brampton Railway short line run through the city. CN's intermodal yards are located east of Airport Road between Steeles and the former Highway 7/Queen Street East. The CN track from Toronto's Union Station is the Georgetown GO Transit Rail Corridor, providing commuter rail and bus services to and from Toronto, with rail station stops at Bramalea, downtown Brampton, and Mount Pleasant. Via Rail connects through Brampton as part of the Quebec City-Windsor Corridor. Air Canada's busiest airport, Toronto Pearson International Airport, is located near Brampton, in Mississauga. For general aviation, the city is served by the privately owned Brampton Airport, located to the north of the city in neighbouring Caledon. Road Brampton is served by several major transportation routes. Highway 401 from Toronto is a short distance south in Mississauga, and can be reached by Highway 410, which runs north-south through the middle of the city. Highway 407 runs along the southern portion of the city, just north of the boundary with Mississauga. Steeles Avenue, which runs north of the 407, is another thoroughfare from Toronto. The former Highway 7 is another east-west corridor. Representation in other media. Dowie Permater's 2008 film Heaven on Earth is set in Brampton. Notable Bramptonians. 4 people from Brampton have received the Order of Canada: Robert William Bradford, former director of the National Aviation Museum. Michael F. Clark, director at Evergreen, the on-street mission for street youth in Toronto. Howard Pawley, professor and former Premier of Manitoba. And William G. Davis, former Premier of Ontario. Sports. Basketball, Michael Meeks, Tyler Ennis, Tristan Thompson, Anthony Bennett. Curling, Scott Bailey, Peter Corner, Graham McCarroll, Wayne Middaugh, Alison Pottinger. Field hockey, Bernadette Bowyer. Figure skating, Vern Taylor, Mark Janashok. Football, Courtney Stephen, Michael Bailey, Fernand Kashama, Chris Kowalczuk, Rob Mather, Jerome Messam, Jason Nugent, Junior Turner, Stephen Turner, Jabbar Westerman, Jamal Westerman, James Urikic. Golf, David Ian. Steve Duplantis, hockey, Andrew Castles, Mike Danton, Mike Dwyer, Todd Ellick, Chris Felix, Sheldon Keefe, Tom Laidlaw, Andrew Martin, Chris Newberry, Rick Nash, Tyler Seguin, Jamie Storr, Mike Weaver, Mike Wilson, Sean Manahan. Horse racing, Sid Seatard, Patrick Husbands, Robert P. Tiller, Emma Jane Wilson. Lacrosse, Jim Veltman. Sailing, Kevin Stittle. Soccer, Gabby Gala, Atiba Hutchinson, Peter Rowe, Murphy Waiadu, Doniel Henry, David Jr. Hoylett, Paul Startery, Roger Thompson. Speed skating, Tyson Hung. Tennis, Jill Hetherington. Track and field, Charles Allen, Mark Boswell. Wrestling, Owen Uakafo. Politics. 3 Canadian premiers got their start in Brampton. Premiers T.C. Norris and Howard Pawley OC of Manitoba, and Brampton Billy, Ontario Premier William Grenville Davis CC. Other notable politicians include John Coyne, and Conservative opposition leader Gordon Graydon. Alberta politician and businessman Sir James A. Lougheed was born in Brampton, and served 30 years in Senate. Regina Mayor David Lynch Scott was born here. President of the Treasury Board Tony Clement spent time as a Brampton MPP. John MacDermott held various cabinet positions under Brian Mulroney, Hemmelroy as Minister of State Sport, and MPP Linda Jeffrey, who represents the riding of Brampton-Springdale at the Ontario Legislature, is also Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing and Chair of Cabinet. Linda Jeffrey has previously held a post of Minister of Labour and Minister of Natural Resources. Ruby Dalla represented the riding of Brampton-Springdale in the Canadian House of Commons from 2004 to 2011 as a member of the Liberal Party. Dalla and British Columbia Conservative MP Nina Grauer were the first Sikh women to serve in the Canadian House of Commons. Palm Gill was elected as the Member of Parliament from the Conservative Party of Canada for the riding of Brampton-Springdale in 2011, who was also appointed as the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Veteran Affairs in 2013. Arts Authors born in or living in Brampton include Rohinton Mistry and Edo Van Bilkom. Visual arts notables from Brampton include Curtis Albert Williamson, co-founder of the Canadian Art Club, etcher Caroline Helena Yarmington, Ronald Bleur, member of the Order of Canada. Organizer and member of the Regina 5, 1960, watercolorist Jack Reed, and William Ronald, who was raised in town. Norman Mills Price. Animators David Ferris and Jay Stevens grew up here. Music acts from Brampton include punk band The Flatliners, R&B singer Keshia Chanter copyright, country singer Johnny Reed, metal queen Lee Aaron, pop singer Alyssa Reed, and rapper D Pride. Don Reynolds, country music, lived here from 1969 to 1997. Barry Stock, guitarist from 3 Days Grace, was raised in Brampton, and currently resides in Caledon. Film, television and comedy. Two notable comedians hail from Brampton, Scott Thompson and Russell Peters. Comedic actor Michael Cera was born and raised in Brampton. Shawn Ashmore, Aaron Ashmore are Brampton-raised. Tyler Labine, locally raised actor, is currently the star of Canadian professional ice hockey center Tyler Seguin grew up in Brampton. He currently plays for the Dallas Stars of the National Hockey League. Other Brampton-born or affiliated actors include Paulo Costanzo, Jordan Gavaris, Gemini Award winner Chris Lemsch and his younger brother Matt Lemsch, Sabrina Gdovic, Nicole Lynn, Dula Copyright Hill, film director Mark Penny, David Phillips, and Gemini Award winner George R. Robertson. Of those best known as voice actors, Brenna O'Brien. On-air media personalities Cassie Campbell, Chris Connor, Chris Cuthbert and Scott McGillivray have connections to the town. Sister cities, Marikina, Philippines, Miami Beach, Florida, Plano, Texas. See also: Brampton Board of Trade, Brampton Municipal Election, 2006, City of Brampton Arts Person of the Year, List of airports in the Greater Toronto Area, List of historic places in Brampton. References: Code 3521010, Census Profile. 2011 Census. Statistics Canada. 2012. Retrieved February 8, 2012. Notes. External links: City of Brampton official website, Census Bulletin No. 4, Brampton City. Local media. The Brampton Guardian, community newspaper, The Brampton News, online-only news source, Rogers Community Cable Brampton, television station, Javed, Nor. For Indians, Brampton is Canada. Toronto Star. Wednesday, December 5, 2007.